Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Riyad Ramlogan, Head of Business Banking here at Scotia Bank, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to the 17th episode of Scotia Insights, an original web series. Launched back in 2016, Scotia Insights was created to connect to you, our customers, and bring a sense of understanding and awareness. Our featured guest speakers share their expertise, and our specially invited guests, you all, are then encouraged to ask questions and engage in insightful discussion. As you, our business, premium, and investment banking customers join us to learn more about breaking the metal ceiling. We hope that you'll be inspired to adjust your lives, the way you operate your businesses, and start succession planning. It is important to us here at Scotiabank that we help our customers evolve. It's my absolute pleasure to join you for today's discussion. Before we get to the presentation, let's talk about some house rules. Don't worry, we only have about 10. I'm kidding, it's just 3. Rule number 1, you're encouraged to type questions you may have on today's topic in the meeting chat. Rule number 2, once the presentation is complete, we'll move into the discussion. And finally, when your question is selected, we'll unmute your mic so that you can speak. Now, allow me to introduce you to our featured speaker. Joining us from KS Chinpire Contracting Services Limited, we have Mrs. Denise Chinpire O'Reilly. Denise is the Managing Director of KS Chinpire Contracting Services Limited, a STORE certified company. It's a family business which has been in operation for over 50 years. Denise is also the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Trinidad and Tobago, also known as ICAT. She's a director at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of the Caribbean and an observer at the International Federation of Accountants Professional Accounting Organization, which is a professional accounting organization and development advisory group. Denise balances all of this, plus she's a mother to 3 wonderful children. We are thrilled to have her join us today as she walks us through her journey and shares how she continues to break the metal ceiling. Denise, thank you very much for joining us today. And without further ado, over to you.
Thank you, Riyad, for that wonderful introduction. I have one additional house announcement, though. Normally at these events, Scotiabank tend to have cocktails and networking after. So on behalf of all the business owners on the calls, on all the attendees here, I just want you to know that we'll take IOUs or rain checks. So feel free to allow us to cash it in at some point in time. So let's get started here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit more about myself. I am married to a very supportive and amazing husband. His name is Christopher. And without him, I don't think I'll be able to break any kind of glass ceiling, any kind of metal ceiling, any ceiling whatsoever. Together, we have 3 beautiful kids. They told me to mention that they are adorable kids. Jacob, Isabel, and Jonah. And to preserve their mental stability during this COVID period, we kind of added a 4th person, what I will call a person, to our life with a poodle called Buddy. So Buddy is now part of our family. I run our family business together with my sister Diane, and Diane is supported by her husband Shervan, and I have 2 beautiful nieces, Vishaka and Shruti. Now, we would get some support from my mom, Shirley Chinpire. She is there for us whenever we need her to be there for us, because approximately 8 years ago, my father would have passed away, and it's been just us holding down the fort. I mean, it's a bit sad when you think about it. He went to Tobago. He was in a beachfront hotel looking at the ocean, and he went to sleep and he didn't get up back. But you think about it, oh, that's sad, but really and truly, who wouldn't really want to pass away in such a peaceful way, you know? We also have a puja store, and pre-COVID, I would have promoted local classical singing events. So that's about it from a me perspective and a little bit more now on the business part of things. Joining our family business was never really an option as such for me, because as far as I can remember, I've been reconciling TD4 slips, balancing NIS health charge books, writing checks. Many Sundays I would spend with my dad. When we go to the market, he have to go and check a job, and I'll be in the car park there in his car together with tender documents and safety gears. So I grew up in the business, getting to know my workers as uncles, because they were always around guiding us, being there, telling us right from wrong. So I would say getting into this family business, it was more like I was groomed into it from the very beginning. At every single opportunity my dad got to talk to us about business and if this is what we want, he took it. There were times when we'll just try to avoid those car rides just because I know what was going to happen in that car. So this is what you all really want. You're going to end up here. But it paid off in the long run because we knew where the end was for us. I went to Naprima Girls High School where I did CXC. Big up to all the Naps girls in the house. And at that point, I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought that is where my career should have been. But in trying to get into Form 6, we passed a school in Chaguanas that had a sign registration in progress. So my father decided to stop and say, let's see what they have there. Well, 20 minutes later, I was registered to start AAT exams. And that was the end of my career as a lawyer. And I now went on to study accounting. Fast forward 26 years later, I am still here. I would like to say that I enjoy mostly public holidays and long weekends, and in my case, a lot of maternity leave. And a point to note when you're working with family business is that there's not a lot of vacation time in there. There's not a lot of time offs. My punctuality, on the other hand, a little questionable from time to time, but I do get to work when I have to. I started working in a business part-time, and I would have pursued school full-time, but it became a little bit too much for me, and I decided to go ahead with school on a part-time basis. Now, that was not an easy thing to do, because for those of you who know, ACCA is not a very easy exam. And I would have seen many of my friends leave me behind because they would have passed their exams and gone on to their careers. I eventually passed in 2005 with my ACCA qualification, a qualification that I hold very, very dear to my heart. A little bit more about the business part of things when my dad passed away. We would have had a struggle, I think, because he was around for such a long time and he always had the last say and stuff. It made it difficult for us to make a final decision. I remember one day we decided to buy this piece of equipment and I had to go and sign the documents for it. And there was this line manager and director, and I was sitting there wondering, so who's gonna sign this line now? Only to realize that was me. That was my portfolio that I had to take on now. It had its challenges. It really wasn't an easy flow, but once we were able to overcome the emotions and grasp the reins, I would like to think that my sister and I went straight ahead. We went full head on into this thing. We sat down, we bridged the gaps that we had. We made strategic plans. We set up cash flows, budgets. We streamlined certain policies in the business. We implemented some management systems to put structure into the organization to work for us. Because anyone will know that in a family business, decisions are a challenge. Decisions are made sometimes when you're having lunch, sometimes when you're having dinner, when you go on vacations. You could be homesick, recuperating, and you still have a big decision to make. We needed to understand that we needed to have some boundaries in getting into business. So my sister and I put structure in place. We respected each other's time. We respected each other's family. And with that, we acknowledged that When we are at work, we are at work. And when we are at home, we are at home. But with every other family business, they had conflicts. I mean, two women running a business can't be easy. So it had the conflicts that will spill over to home and spill over to the limes. Sometimes we'll ask the husband for a little help, you know, you can help us through this, what you think? And they took an immediate exit. Nobody was sticking around for those arguments. So I think that kind of helped in the sense that nobody got involved in our battles. It was just both of us. We also we have tried to maintain a balance. Balance is really important to us because being in the business, this is all we know. So we both have decided to pursue professional board portfolios. We both on boards on executive roles. And that gives us perspectives that we might not have gotten while working in the family business. We also try to balance our health because most people will now know that diabetes and hypertension and all these things, it runs through our veins if it's not controlled. So my sister and I would have made a bigger effort to start to exercise, go on little family treks, because we need to take care of the family that we have now. So hopefully they will be here to take over when we can't. So that's a little bit about myself and how I got involved in the business. I want to go now into a little bit about working in this environment, this male-dominated environment. And I have a little story that I would like to share. Many moons ago, a new supplier visited my office, and the supplier came to us and he asked, so I have these new items to sell. Where are the guys? So I stood there and I was like, where are the guys? The guy's not here. He was like, well, I'll wait for them to come because I have these things that I want to sell. I was like, feel free, you could speak to me. That is not a problem. The gentleman then went on to ask, okay, so where's the boss? I'll talk to him. I'll wait for him. I said, sure, no problem. You could hold on by security. But he passed away a few years ago. And if you were to see him, kindly tell him that I have a few questions to ask him as well. That was the last of that gentleman. I never saw him after that. And honestly, we need to change the way we discuss things and change. You never know who your recipient is when you approach a situation. When I left high school, I would have gone from a school with 500 plus young ladies, and I was dropped into a turnaround at the Yara plant. Back then it was Hydro Agri. 16 years old, thinking, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get a little job here, make a little money. Little did I know that my dad placed me as a timekeeper for this job. And for those of you that might not know, shutdown is when the plant is completely turned off and they do maintenance for long periods and long shifts. So you might have 12-hour shifts running for like a month, night and day. Why would my father put me in this environment at 16 years old with 1,000 men? That's all you saw there. In perspective now and in hindsight, it kind of made me brave. I think it helped me develop my ability to adjust to any environment that I am placed in. I would have had my fair share of hurdles getting into that environment, but it made me a better person. And to this day, I can safely say that it did good. I didn't think so at that point in time. Huh? And even a step further, you're going to your family business and you have all these instructions that you have to follow. I remember I got fired like around 3 times. For 3 times, this man sent me home from simple things like, why you're not listening to me, why you went out so much over the weekend, to print out my phone bills to discuss every single call on the bill. It wasn't easy. And dealing with a family business, there are those lines that might be crossed from time to time, but I have to admire my mom because she was the one that he would send each and every time to say, girl, go back to work tomorrow now. You know how it is. My mom definitely had that strength to go up against my dad and sit down there and say, this is best for you. And one day you will get big and you will understand. Yes, mommy, I know that now because I know she's listening. It took a while, but we learned it eventually. The relationship with my dad, I will say, was a bit spicy in the sense that we both shared the same birthdays, so our personality clashed a lot. But the clash of our personality was one of, we loved each other very much. He did nothing without me there, without my support, and I did nothing without him around. He took me everywhere. And being around a strong personality like that, it helped groom me into wanting to be like that. So we talk about mentors in this construction field and in this construction environment. Your mentor is who you want that to be. He would have taken tasks that I thought other people could have handled, and he gave it to me for me to learn. Calling clients to ask for payments, calling suppliers to ask for credit. Mind you, this wasn't a time when cash flow was not flowing and nobody wanted to give credit. But by giving me those tasks, I became to learn. I got to a point where I could have learn how to deal with your clients, learn how to deal with your suppliers, negotiate, and get to a place where we could be productive and work together. He took me everywhere. He took me to boardrooms. He took me to the plants. And wherever I went, he introduced me as Chinpire daughter. And for a long time, I wondered why this man can't really say my name. But in hindsight, again, that is how a lot of people eventually, I got their respect. They knew who he was. And by him putting that barrier there, it prevented a lot of slack from coming to me. And I appreciate that now. It didn't feel so at that point in time, but it definitely worked wonders for me to be strong and stand up for myself. A little bit more about the field that I work in. I work in Point Lisa's Industrial Estate. That's where our company operates. And there are not many women in our field in the sense that there are not a lot of married women with families, married women that you can bond with, that could share your opinion. Because being a non-traditional role, you find that there's a rat race. Who could do it and who can't do it? Who could get it done faster and who could get it done better? But with time, you would realize that that same rat race, you have to make friends. And I would have made some dynamic friends in this business, friends that when I started, we still see each other to this day. And it's like no time has passed. So the bond that you get from the woman that you work with, it's extra, extra special. I like to show the woman in our company and the women around us that, yes, you can wear a coverall and a steel tip and you could dress like that. You don't have to wear all the fancy dresses and stuff. So, but that would not take away from you going home and being the gentle mommy who would love and hug your kids and cook the muffins and bake the cakes. We can do it all. And even though mentors were rare while we were getting into the business, I try to be a mentor to young women getting into the business now, so they know what to expect. I mean, my dad might have had some unorthodox ways of doing things growing up that now it might be, you might view it differently, but that is what made us strong, both my sister and I. Point Lisa's is not for the weak and the fickle. It's almost like survival of the fittest in every aspect. And sometimes as women, we tend to underestimate the power of our voice and the impact of our actions. Together, I think we can do a better job at being role models. We can set better examples and get our seats at the table, earn that seat at the table. Request policy changes in your organization, equality, you want that. And it's very important for women to know that this is what it's about. It will not be given to you. You have to work for it, and you have to work fairly for it. So enough about the business and about me. I want to, seeing that this is a Scotiabank event, I want to talk a little bit about how the bank's relationship has impacted our company. From the days of my grandfather, I would go with him to the bank. We would have gone to Scotiabank Marbella, and a very nice banker lady will come out to him in the car park. Her name was Leela, I believe, and I hope I am correct. And she will do all his banking right there and then. And I was like, wait now, these people have an interest in their customers. They are here and they are here for him. I remember even recently when I was now getting into the business, I would sit with Mr. Khan in Scotiabank, and Mr. Khan will advise me, Denise, this is your overdraft. This is where you need to cut. This is where you need to squeeze. This is when you need to deposit. On a Friday evening, many times when you're growing, you will have the challenges with cash flows. And I remember sitting down there with Mr. Khan and he telling me, okay, sit here and you will pay your salaries as it come along. And before 3 o'clock, I was there cutting and squeezing to pay salaries at 3. And all that was with the support of my bank. This company has been in existence for over 50 years. And at different times, I would say things were good, things were bad. And sometimes you want to grow, you want to expand. Scotiabank helped us to get there without us losing our nest egg and our security. And I think that's really important for a bank. A bank needs to show that you have that personal interest in your customer. I mean, it goes all the way back to sometimes I'm traveling and I go to pay a bill and my card ain't even working. Nothing could be more embarrassing than trying to pay for something and it not working. And I will call my banker and say, yeah, what's going on right now? Can you all fix this? And mind you, she will answer the phone and she will fix it. So to my banker who is also on this program this afternoon, thank you very much. Because it's that support that we get when we're in those tight positions that means a lot. And not just on a personal level. Professionally, we might want checks cleared for suppliers and employees with issues and needs accounts and the whole 9 yards of things. Scotiabank has given that to us. They have given us that support, that guidance, and that personal relationship that we've had. I truly appreciate it. In my wrapping up, I want to just touch on a little bit about us as business owners and what this environment is doing to us right now. It's a challenge. It's very, very hard for all of us to have your doors closed, your employees at home, not knowing when we are going to get to any form of normalcy. But what is important for all of us is that you know that you are not alone. Forums like this will show you that we are all out here trying to do our best to learn, to develop, to grow, and hear other people's experiences. So you are not alone. Empathy. Without empathy for our suppliers who are facing the same supply chain problems as ourselves, our clients that still have the same demands that they did pre-COVID, and our employees that are struggling home with little or no income. The way we manage these relationships now will determine how we deal with this in a post-COVID time. Use this downtime to evaluate your business. Determine if digitalization is for you. Determine if you are in a position to conduct business safely and securely. Are you using all the platforms available? Is there ways out there that we can do this without contacting each other, contactless delivery of goods, services, payments? This is the time that we can do those things. Diversification, that is the trend. That is where we would like to go. There is no normal anymore. Nothing is set in stone. I mean, we are at a stage where we are buying doubles and boxes and all the sources separate. But to me, at this stage, I would have never thought the doubles man would have gotten to this. Can we really go back to doing this thing and eating this in a wax paper by the corner where the truck passing and all the Sahara dust coming? Diversification will take us out of there. Diversification will take us to a better place. And it's important that in this time, we consider all these factors. As business owners, as team players, it's very critical for us. So that brings the curtain down on my part of the presentation. And I will now hand you over to Riyadh if we have any questions or you have any questions for me. Thanks, Riyadh.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Denise, for that very insightful presentation this afternoon. And certainly before we get into the questions, a couple of things did stick out to me, if I may. Firstly, you mentioned that very early on in the presentation that you wouldn't be able to do what you have done and look and breaking all these barriers without support. You mentioned your husband, your parents, your mom, your children, your sister. And I think that can be, that's so important in your journey. It reminds me, of the contribution that women make today, and it must be recognized. And I can't help but think about my wife. She's a medical doctor. She's in the front line every day with all of her colleagues. And my role, as I see it more and more, is to try and look to provide that support in whatever way I can, so that she is, always able and always at that peak to go out into that battlefield and do what she does best. So I think that was very important, the whole aspect of support. And then secondly, you mentioned, very important to me as well, in family businesses, it's very good sometimes to take a step back and to put structures and protocols and policies in place, because at the end of the day, this family business could grow and grow and grow, and really having that discipline early on is, I think that sort of advice, I hope our attendees do take note of that, and certainly can institute it within their own businesses as well. But yes, you're correct. We do have many questions, actually, Denise. Several were submitted by email, so I'm just going to go through a few, if that's okay. The first one, a question came in: from a logistical point of view, how has your business changed, and what have you been doing to combat the challenges of the pandemic?
So that's a very interesting question, Riyadh, because pre-COVID, we were on a drive to digitalize our own company and to make things easier and easily accessible. So what would have happened is, it started really simple. I would have had core employees who did not have a simple data plan on their phones. So we would have included data plans on everybody's corporate phone. We would have instituted company email addresses. We would have implemented stronger policies for online payments and all that kind of thing, because that is where we wanted to go. We are in the process of moving from a server storage to cloud storage. Simple hardware changes. I moved a lot of my desktops to laptops, increased our bandwidth in the organization. So those simple little measures that we would have implemented are some of the changes that we would have brought into the company in this COVID time to keep us relevant and effective. I hope I answered your question, Riyadh.
Thank you very much. Yes, I certainly think you touched on key couple things there, and I appreciate the comment around digital and using the advantages inherent within, you know, upgrading and updating the organization, because at some point you have to look at efficiencies as well, and it causes, I guess it causes us to also think inwardly to see how can we improve processes already established. And also how can we ensure that we have things in place when things can open back up. So I think so. Thank you very much. The second question, as a female leader and business owner, what has been the most significant barrier, if any, in your career progression, and what advice would you give to the upcoming generation?
What barrier? We have had so many barriers that we had to overcome to get to where we are right now. So before I say what my experiences were, my words of wisdom to young women coming up: do not see barriers. See them as opportunities for growth. See them as opportunities for you to get it done. I would use my portfolio at ICAT, for instance. Being an ICAT, I'm a qualified accountant, yes, but I'm not a practicing accountant. In the 50 years of ICAT, I think I am the second non-practicing accountant that has held that position. And that was a barrier by itself, because I did not think, as a non-practicing accountant, I would have been able to even think about that portfolio. But so far it's been going well, and so far I'm progressing and I'm learning as I go along. And that's a part of this whole thing called barriers. It's not there to hinder you. It's there to help you grow and learn. So I don't see it as a barrier. I see it as an opportunity for growth. Get this program this afternoon is a barrier for me because I didn't think I could have done this. But, you know, thanks to Scotiabank for giving me this opportunity, and I hope I'm breaking this barrier right here.
Well, certainly breaking through the metal ceiling, and I must again thank you, doing a fantastic job. There's another question, and I'll probably take a stab at it first, and then patch it over to you. The question is, I'm thinking about diversifying my portfolio. What steps should I take, and how do I know I'm making the right decisions for my business? So I would take this from two perspectives. Again, the perspective of what products are you selling or what services are you offering? And certainly there can be some level of diversifying the portfolio in terms of that. I would say, you know, you want to, number one, make sure you do your research in terms of what else can you do to provide that balance to your portfolio. Two, you want to try and look at what could provide probably a bit of competitive advantage based on introducing something new. And thirdly, you want to ensure in doing the research, you marry that to the competitive advantage aspect in terms of price, quality, location, etc. And then on the flip side, so that's outward looking, but we can also look internally. And you did mention a couple of these before, Denise. You know, diversification can come from, again, looking at, can I digitalize? Can I move more to digital? Can I create efficiencies within the organization where I may not have had before? Can I, if I'm in manufacturing, look at an activity-based system to ensure that I'm, you know, at each point through that process, I'm getting the best costing per unit in terms of efficiency. So, you know, I think both of them do require a lot of research. Both of them do require certainly some of that entrepreneurial spirit to guide it, and I think maybe a mixture of passion mixed in there as well. But I'll patch it over to you. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So the first part of diversification is knowing what you want to diversify into. I think once you make that decision that you want to diversify, you need to sit. You have to reinvent what you want your end product to be. You can't use the same template that you would have used in the business that you would have had before. Diversification is about change. It's about reimagining a new look for your organization. And once you consider all those things, research is very important. You need to go out there, research your products, your market, your competition. All that is part of a diversification drive. I would say, I would use our company as an example. We have a puja store as well. And in that puja store, we would have started selling items from local suppliers until we realized that we can import our own goods and we can expand our own business in our benefit. And with that said and done, we went to India, found our supplier, and now we are importers of our own goods. We even do wholesaling as well. So our diversification went along the line that we wanted to have a product that was very marketable in that the area that we are in California. It's not a high traffic area, but it's a high populated area. So you will find that you don't have a lot of retail stores, but having a retail store in that area made a big difference. So with that research being done, we took the dream, the passion, and the risk, because there was a great element of risk in traveling on the other side of the world as two women to meet suppliers. So we took the risk, we got the support, and today we are operating successfully. The puja store is up and going.
Again, thank you. You know, it's so fortunate that we can provide that real life experience to a question like that, and really provide and put it in some sort of context. Research, be passionate, and you know, sometimes it really just takes that gut to go out and get. I'll just ask one more of the questions, the questions that were offered before, and then maybe we can go to some of the attendees. This question, Denise, is about succession planning. I know you have touched a bit of it in your presentation, but you know, what's the next steps for your company, KS Chinpire?
So that is an interesting question. I am really happy that we have 5 kids as the next generation. It definitely a little more support than what my sister and I would have had. When we just joined, when I decided to get into this business, my research was to attend every single workshop, seminar, program on running a family business. And I attended one where the presenter opened with, family business is a struggle. And it's very rare a family business will get to a 3rd generation. And it will become even less successful if you have women at the helm. So this man telling me this when I now decided to get into a business is a scare. It threw me off and it made me wonder, what am I really doing? Is this what I really want? Am I setting myself up here for the kill? But I kept that in my mind and I reminded myself of that at every opportunity. I do not want to be that statistic. I don't want our company to be that statistic. And with that in mind, we would have engaged our young kids from, I mean, yes, they're small, but they're very dynamic. They're very impressive and they're very passionate. So for the Nagar, I would have had a booth there and we had our kids, they were all eager handing out flyers. My son was working on the last night at the Nagar. And the catch with that is all the sales that he had in his pocket, he wanted to know if he could take it home. So I was like, no, child, one day you will get there, but not right now. So for us, it's about getting our kids involved at this young age. We do run the risk that they might not want to enter the business, but we are hoping that we will do a good job to encourage them in. My eldest son wants to go play football for Barcelona. Am I as true as I could possibly be? I mean, I ain't a football fan, but go and play a football. But just remember, just like Messi have to go back home to his family business, which I'm sure he has one, you need to come back home and help here as well. So I don't mind if they decide to explore other options, but know that this is their security net and this is going to be there for them at that point in time when they make the decision.
Thank you. Certainly the kids sound like they had some fun at the Nagar, so really getting into the business side of things. So we will probably go to some of the attendees, and we have a question in the chat. The question is from Neela Maharaj. Neela, so we are just going to, if you want, we can just we'll unmute you. You can ask your question, and then the panelists will respond.
Seems like you might have to read her question, Riyadh.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, that's all right. So I'll ask it on behalf of Neela. With construction closed, how are you maintaining salaries for your workers?
So for our company, we are deemed as essential in the Point Lisas industrial estate because we service the plants on the estate. So basically throughout this COVID period, my employees would have maintained employment. We would have tried to roster a few of them to ensure that everyone gets a little something at the end of the week and at the end of the fortnight. So most of our operations continued on a smaller scale, but it continued with a few added COVID protocols in place, but our workers would have continued working as they were deemed essential.
Thank you very much for that response. We have another one in the chat. I didn't get the name. The question is, as the president of ICAT, what advice do you have for small businesses for financial management if there's no in-house accountant?
So wearing my new hat as ICAT president, ICAT has a lot of accountants that provide these services and it can be outsourced. So in addition to the fact that you can get this advice from the various advisors and the providers of financial information and assistance, we also do a lot of programs to help business owners understand the environment that they're operating in, understand the standards, understand the finances, the financial statements. We try to put as much information out there in workshops and seminars for the same very reason. Not everyone have an in-house accountant. And these programs could assist the members of the public, small business owners in understanding a little bit more about the fancy terminologies. So they know how to stand their ground then. So that is an opportunity for persons to get more information if they do not have an in-house accountant.
Okay, thank you very much for that question, Denise. So
before you continue, please
sure.
don't charge ICAT for that plug.
Not a problem. I mean, I think that's a very important question that was asked, and that you responded to. You know, as the world continues to evolve, the importance and financials, I guess, are just important to understand and appreciate. You know, how your business is performing, where are some of the areas of opportunity, and certainly where are some of the areas that you can diversify the portfolio. So I think it's very important, a message that, you know, companies start to look very closely at financials, take a particular note to understand what is contained within the financials, and appreciate, you know, especially if it's audited, is not just the P&L, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flow. It's also the notes to the financials as well. Those things contribute, or are called the package, and, you know, really tell the story of where the company is and where the company can go. You know, we have a comment by Tara Manik. She says, I think this initiative, as it helps to strengthen female entrepreneurs. And I know you spoke about earlier, to break the metal ceiling and, really having that support. Would you have any comments on female entrepreneurs, who may be in an organization, who may have an idea, Denise, and where can they go to really look for opportunity and guidance? I think that important guidance to the next step to really reach and maximize their true potential.
So, Riyadh, that was something that I struggled with initially when I got into business. The mentors are not there, but you need to find that mentor that can help you. It does not necessarily have to be a female. It can be a male, because to me, my mentor was my dad. And I didn't get it with any sugarcoating. I got it level. All the industrial language you could think about, I got it. So maybe I should have gone to a female mentor. But generally speaking, having a mentor to help you, it gives you strength. It gives you the ability to be inspired and know that it can be done. Whether it comes as a mentor from a book, a celebrity, a famous business person, it does not matter. But find that person who would have done it so you know it can be done. And the other thing is networking. Networking is very, very important. This is how you get to share your ideas. Like if Scotiabank had a networking event after today, like after this fancy thing here, we could have gone and sit down and talk. I would have known who your members are. I would have known what they do, how they can assist me, how I can assist them. So networking is very, very critical, especially for entrepreneurs. Getting into this, that's where you need to start. That's how you get the ideas flowing, and you know if you have a good one or maybe you're going to sync with it.
I agree. Unfortunately, with respect to the event after this Scotia Insights, we'll have to maybe have that at a later date. But I have taken a note of it. We do have an additional question here from Stephanie McLean. So Stephanie, if you want, we can unmute your mic and you can ask your question of Denise.
Hi, good day.
Stephanie, you're muted. Yeah.
Hi, yes. I am also in a family business and I am on the accounting side as well. I just wanted to find out what advice she has for females in that field, and especially in the family business, how to push forward and be successful in that.
So Stephanie, I think the first step is knowing that this is all on you. You need to have the drive and the passion to what you want to add to your family business. And that's what worked for us, in the sense that my sister's still doing courses online all through COVID. I chose to learn to bake a cake and learn to make doubles, but she going to school almost every other day. So adding a career to a family business is a personal passion and drive. And you have to be the one to drive yourself to want that and earn that. People tend to think that in a family business, you don't need a qualification, but at some point in time, well, hopefully if you don't get fired like me, I did do my resume and I wanted my resume to look good. But for proposals and to get new businesses, we would have sent our company profile out with our resumes, and I wanted my resume to look good. I wanted to stand for something, represent something. So Stephanie, if this is where you want to go in the field of accounting, there are lots of courses being offered outside there. There are a lot of different forums that you could attend, business seminars that you could determine. Maybe accounting is not what you want to do, but it's good to, if that is what you want to do, to get involved, and you have to push yourself to get there. It's a very beautiful career, by the way. It's very dynamic because our standards and policies changes every year. You will never get bored. So I hope I answered your question, Stephanie.
Yes, thanks for that. I just had a follow-up question, if you don't mind. So, well, I have kind of always been in accounting, but I I am pretty much now fully in the family business. Would you say that ACCA would be the right direction, or because the right where I am right now is trying to figure out which direction I want to go in?
So for me, ACCA was very challenging. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time. But Stephanie, when you get that qualification, you see that certificate on your wall, you'll want to sleep with it every night. You will hold it so close to your heart. ACCA is an excellent qualification. Should you want to get in the accounting profession, you want to stand out, that is where you want to go. And not just because I qualified, but it's from my perspective.
All right, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephanie. I think we have another question from Nicholas Ramcharan. Statement first, Denise has a strong and positive and innovative mindset. My question would be, do you see any specific positive things coming out of the pandemic, personal or professional?
So I was discussing this with your marketing manager just prior to this event here. I enjoyed the COVID lockdown in the sense that I got to build a closer relationship with my family, my kids, because you tend to be on the go so much that you miss the little things. You miss the good nights, you miss the hug ups, you miss the making brownies in the kitchen, you miss those things. You miss telling them to go and do their chores. And for me, that was one of the positive things that came out of the pandemic. Professionally, I would say it allowed me a time to pause, a time for me to gather where we would like our company to be and what we would like our company to look like. So professionally, it gave us an opportunity to do some reinvention of our own. I mean, like just, I think it was last week, we decided, okay, everybody's laptop gonna get Zoom. It seems like, that's an ordinary thing, but now we never have to leave our desk to have a meeting. So professionally, and that was my sister's idea, by the way, before she thinks that I'm taking her credit. Those are the ways that we built ourselves professionally in this time. It gave us a chance to pause, something that we did not have before.
Thank you very much, Denise. I can say on the personal side, I'm a skilled player at Uno. My son has me doing 15 games every night with him. I just want to thank you. We're close to the top of the hour, everyone. So we'll wrap things up here. For those who would have put comments and questions in the chat, we will be getting back to you. So again, if we didn't get the opportunity to discuss it today, we certainly will be getting back to you. I want to thank you all for taking the time to join us for the 17th edition of Scotia Insights. I also want to give Denise a very big thank you on behalf of Scotia, as well as everyone on the line, for sharing your story and giving us some really great advice. In the coming days to everyone, we'll email a link of the video from today's session. And of course, if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to email us, and we'll continue the communication there. Again, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Denise. Take care, everyone, and please continue to stay safe. Bye.
Thank you very much. I get to give